The price of my freedom. I always trusted my brother. Even when the walls of our house cracked and peeled, when the cupboards echoed hollow and the neighbors whispered about how far we'd fallen, I trusted him. He was the eldest, the protector, the one who held the fragments of our family together when my father died and my mother collapsed into grief. He became the anchor I clung to when everything else in our world broke loose. "Don't worry," he used to whisper when I was small, his rough hand ruffling my hair. "I'll protect you. You're all I've got." And I believed him. That's the part that haunts me most, even now. That betrayal doesn't announce itself. It seeps in quietly, disguised as care, dressed in familiar love, until one day you wake up and realize you've been deceived so thoroughly that even your memories feel poisoned. When he told me there was work for me abroad, I never doubted him. He said there was a family, respectable and well off, who needed a housekeeper. "You'll earn good money, better than anything you'll find here," he insisted, his voice urgent with opportunity. "You can send it home. You'll do better than me." I wanted to believe him. I needed to. That night, I lay awake in the suffocating dark of our crumbling home. My mother coughed in the next room, the sickness she couldn't afford medicine for eating away at her bones. My brother sat by the window, smoking in silence, the ember of his cigarette briefly illuminating the sharp planes of his face. In those brief flickers of light, he looked different, older, harder, like stone cracked by too many winters. "Are you sure about this?" I asked him, my voice barely above a whisper. He exhaled smoke slowly, the air thick with it, his eyes unreadable shadows. "Do you trust me?" "Yes," I said, and I meant it, at least then. The journey was long, exhausting, suffocating. We boarded crowded buses that smelled of sweat and dust, squeezed against strangers whose faces blurred together in my memory. He kept his arm around me the whole way, pulling me close at border crossings and checkpoints. I thought it was protection. Later, I would understand it was possession. When we finally arrived, it didn't look like opportunity. It looked like ruin. The streets were too loud, too harsh. The buildings sagged, their plaster peeling like old wounds. People's eyes followed me with suspicion, curiosity, hunger. The air smelled of diesel, sewage, and something metallic I couldn't name. "This doesn't look right," I whispered, clutching my bag tighter. My brother ignored me. His eyes darted between men on the corners, his jaw tight. He muttered quick words in a language I didn't fully understand, exchanging nods, exchanging handshakes that looked more like transactions. "Who are they?" I asked, my throat dry. "Contacts," he said shortly, his tone clipped. "Don't talk too much." Fear brushed against me then, subtle but sharp like the prickle of a knife against skin. He led me to a building on the edge of the city, its paint blistered, its windows barred. The moment I stepped inside, dread sank into my bones. The air was stale, thick with sweat and despair. From somewhere down the hall, muffled voices floated. Women's voices, broken and tired. "Where's the family?" I asked, my voice trembling. He didn't answer. He only gripped my wrist tighter and dragged me into a small room. The bed sagged in the corner, its mattress stained and torn. The only window was caged in rusting bars. Before I could speak, the door slammed. A lock clicked. My breath stuttered. I pressed my hands against the door, pounding, clawing, begging. "What is this? Let me out." His voice came through the crack, low, cold, unrecognizable. "You'll thank me one day. We need the money." The world tilted, selling me. My brother was selling me. The scream that tore out of me then didn't sound like it belonged to me. It sounded like something feral, something dying. Time became a blur inside that room. Days or weeks, I couldn't tell. They fed me enough to keep me alive, bitter tea and stale bread shoved through the door. Sometimes one of the men came in, his gaze crawling over me like maggots. He never touched, not then. They were waiting, bargaining. My brother came and went, speaking to them in hushed tones, arguing over numbers like I was a piece of livestock. when I screamed at him, when I begged, when I threw myself at the door until my fists bled, he only grew colder. "You don't understand," he hissed once, slamming his fist into the wall beside my head so hard the plaster cracked. His eyes burned, not with regret, but with fury. "You don't know what I've done for you. For Ma, this is the only way. You're selling me like cattle," I spat, my throat raw from screaming. He grabbed my arm so hard I cried out, his fingers bruising the flesh. For one heartbeat, I thought I saw guilt flicker in his expression, something human and broken. But it vanished just as quickly, swallowed by resolve. "Better them than hunger," he muttered. I crumpled onto the bed after he left, shaking so violently I thought my bones would splinter. I stared at the bars on the window until my vision blurred. It wasn't fear of the men that hollowed me. It wasn't even fear of pain. It was the betrayal, that the person I had trusted most, the only anchor I thought I had left, had thrown me into the sea. But I wasn't dead yet, and ghosts don't fight. I did. The night it almost happened, the air felt heavier, charged with finality. A man came, unlike the others. His clothes were crisp, his hair slicked back. He smelled of cologne instead of sweat. His eyes swept over me with calm calculation, like he was inspecting goods in a market stall. They spoke about me like I wasn't there. My brother's voice was clipped, urgent, bargaining. The man's was smooth, detached. And then my brother's hand tightened on my shoulder, like he was already handing me over. Something inside me split wide open. "No!" My scream ripped through the walls. I twisted free, hurling myself against the bars, clawing, kicking, thrashing. My nails tore. My voice broke. "You can't! You're my brother! You can't!" The man chuckled, entertained. My brother's face contorted with rage. His hand lashed across my face so hard I slammed into the floor. Pain exploded white hot. Blood filled my mouth. For a moment, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Only the sound of my own heart, pounding like a war drum in my ears. And then a voice inside me, not loud, not clear, but steady, whispered, "If you don't leave tonight, you'll never leave." That night, I waited. I listened through the cracks. The men drank in another room, their laughter slurred, their guard loose. When silence finally settled, I moved. The window was small. The bars were old. Rust bit into my palms as I pulled, as I shoved, as I bled. Metal groaned. My arms screamed. And then, finally, one bar gave way with a shriek. I didn't think. I pushed through, skin tearing, cloth ripping. I fell into the night like an animal breaking out of a cage. The streets were chaos. Motorbikes roared past, headlights blinding. Dogs barked from alleys. The air stank of smoke and rot. I ran barefoot, every stone cutting my feet, every shadow behind me a phantom of pursuit. I ran until my lungs burned, until bile rose in my throat, until my body wanted to collapse. But I didn't stop. Stopping meant being dragged back. Stopping meant being sold. I ducked into alleys, scaled walls, crouched behind trash heaps when footsteps drew near. My heart pounded so loudly I was certain they would hear it. At some point, I collapsed in a doorway, trembling, tears streaming down my face. A woman found me there. She was old, her face lined with hardship, her eyes sharp but not cruel. She said words I didn't understand, but her tone was gentle. She gave me water, pressed rags to my bleeding feet, and pointed down the street, gesturing with urgency. I understood. Bus station. I don't remember how I made it there, only that I did. I boarded a bus full of strangers. I collapsed into a seat, my body shaking uncontrollably, my sobs choking me. No one touched me. No one claimed me. I was free. I never saw my brother again. Sometimes I wonder where he is now. Does he think of me? Does guilt ever prick his conscience in the dark? Or does he count his money, telling himself it was worth it? I'll never know. What I do know is this: I survived. But survival is not the same as healing. Nights are the worst. I wake drenched in sweat, his hand still on my arm in my dreams, his voice in my ear. Do you trust me? I see the look in his eyes the moment he chose money over blood. That wound never closes, but I carry something else alongside it. The proof that I fought, that I clawed my way out of the darkness with nothing but will. I am not what he tried to make me. I am not for sale. I am mine. And though he will never be caught, though justice will never come from outside, I carve my own justice into every breath, every step, every day I live free. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment of what you thought of the story, and don't forget to subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it.